Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. Today's episode is a big one, especially if you've ever felt that cash crunch on a flip or a deal. We're diving into how you can use business credit to keep your projects moving and your personal credit protected. You're gonna hear from Ari Page, the CEO of Fund&Grow and one of the leading experts in business credit and funding strategies for real estate investors. This conversation breaks down how to get access to 0% business credit, how to qualify, and the strategies that help you scale without getting stuck when market shifts hit. So grab a notebook. There's a lot of gold in here. Let's get into it.
We have a number of members who have just really gotten into business credit, and it was a big part of really getting them going. If I could just share this real quick, Ari, and this probably resonates with a lot of the people that you serve. But so G ran it, phenomenal flipper, fix and flip, doing all kinds of deals, rolling through, and then has an experience that he openly talks about and just has shared with a bunch of other members, just trying to help them, but ran into a cash crunch. Market shifted, had a couple deals that he was going to lose money on, trying to just get out of them because he saw what happened in the market. But yeah, as you all know, the carrying costs start adding up, and it's typically always better to get out of those homes quickly and then rebuy at the new market rates and just win again. But he just ran into a cash crunch. Like I said, lost money on some deals, was kind of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And just really got into some of this business credit. It carried him through. It allowed him to be able to, his credit hadn't dropped yet. He was able to get zero or really low business interest credit. And it was able to help him relaunch and really carry him through that time where he could just buy right again. 3 months later, he's exiting properties, making money, and everything was good. It was just this massive, when you look through history, you go on Bigger Pockets, you go on all these other places, and you see people who really kind of struggle. Oftentimes it's with a cash crunch. And when you have funding, something that can just carry you through that, especially when you're strong in your fundamentals. We can't always control market conditions, but when we're that strong in our fundamentals to where we know we just need to buy right and we're going to win, like things happen on like one deal. But then with the funding and with the credit, it just carries us right through. So it's happened with a couple of our members to the point where we had a number of conversations of, man, we need this for all of our members. You know, everybody should have this. And so kind of fast forward, Tracy and I were talking about this. Tracy connected Ari with your team. Fund&Grow is, is an industry leader, is probably the industry leader, and maybe you'll kind of go into that. But as we started doing our homework, looking around to say who is going to have a strong stewardship and care, for our members, make the process smooth, clear, easy, all of that, we were led to you, and then have had some really good experiences. So that's what led to this call. Ari, I know you have a presentation, but I've got a lot of questions too. So we're going to make it like super applicable so everybody can come out of this call with a game plan. And Perfect. For all of you in the chat, just drop your questions. Just throw them in there. I'll work them in. We'll fit it. But with that, Tracy, do you want to do an intro?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. All right, guys, I am super pumped to be able to introduce to you Ari Page. So Ari is the CEO of Fund&Grow, and he's been a leading voice in business funding for almost 20 years. So he has significant expertise in building business credit and financial strategies. And so we're just super fortunate to be able to have him here with us today to break this all down for us and help us understand how we can be leveraging business credit as real estate investors to do things like Dave was talking about to cover a cash crunch, or even things like getting ahead on some marketing or hiring a VA, or there's so many different ways that it can apply to kind of help you get the ball rolling. So Ari, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you. We are super pumped to have you here. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you guys. And also looking forward to just doing this presentation and talking to everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Are you guys able to see that? Perfect. All right. So, like Dave mentioned, getting access to funding that's not tied to a specific deal, that's what Fund and Grow is all about. Getting you access to easy funding that you can use to grow. But I do have a question for everyone. I'd like to know how many people on this call right now have access to funding that they can use in between any deal. If you already have easy access to funding, just raise your hand. And I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy in Zoom to raise your hand. Is that right? So let's see.
Yeah, or just throw in the chat, right? Throw it in the chat
Yeah.
too, whatever
Yeah.
makes sense.
So we've been doing this for quite some time. I started doing this in around 2007. So Dr. Sherry saying hers is all tied to deals. So yeah, I started doing this around 2007, and that was right before the great crash of 2008. So we have been doing this for quite some time, and we've generated over $2 billion in funding. Oh, so here we go. Brandon says he got 25,000 in 0% recently. Very cool. So a lot of people are saying that they're all tied to the deals. Got some could use more, Dave is saying. So awesome. Well, then you guys are going to really enjoy this presentation because you really can't start scaling until you have access to a variety of types of funds. We're all about using mortgages, hard money, DSCR loans, but also using the most inexpensive access to funding that you can get. Getting the 0% introductory credit cards that could be 0% for anywhere from 6 months up to 22 months. And it allows us to move forward on a variety of different types of spending that are not tied to specific assets, such as any type of real estate. You can literally use credit cards to fund an escrow account. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that and what that service is, how you can take a credit card, swipe it, fund an escrow account, or pay any vendor that you need to. You can even pay payroll. Let's say you're flipping a house and you're having it rehabbed. You can literally pay the payroll right off of the credit cards. And just to give everyone a sense of what we're talking about, I'm going to show you exactly. This is a client that's just gone through our program. And so you can see that the date up top left, it says 10/15. What you're seeing here is the funding that we applied for them. And we applied in 3 rounds of funding. So in those 3 rounds of funding, you can see here's the first round right here, 10/15, or that's the last round, sorry. Then there's this round here, and then this was the very first round. So 3 different rounds of credit card stacking. Each one of these is going after a variety of different credit cards. And what I want you guys to look at is look at this initial column here where there's lots of zeros and even smaller amounts. And then look at the highlights here. So like, for example, this Chase business card went from a decline to a 25,000. This is what Fund and Grow does. We show you how to get access to large amounts of funding. Like this client here, who's got $351,000 of 0% credit through our program in 3 rounds of funding. And so you can see like this card went from 4,000 to 43,000. This card went from decline to 15,000, from decline. Look at this one, 152,000 on one credit card. Who wants 152,000 on one credit card? This is how the card stacking process works, and we do more than card stacking. We're a full consulting service that shows you exactly how to get these higher limits. So let's go ahead and jump into it.
Hey, Ari, just real quick. I noticed Chase was on there a couple times. Would those be just different cards, but from the
Yes.
Chase family?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm going to get into exactly how credit card stacking works, but I'm sure a lot of people on this call have credit cards. If we were to ask to raise your hand, I'm sure that we'd see a lot of hands go up because a lot of people are already saying that they're using some form of business credit or credit cards. And so let me explain exactly how easy it is to card stack. Now, the card stacking is only part of it, but the other part is how to get the larger, higher limits. But let's say that you have a card with Chase, a $10,000 card with Chase, and you've had it for about a year, so the 0% is expiring. Let's just, for the sake of the call, let's say the card is a $20,000 card. So you've had a $20,000 card, the 0% is expiring, you've had it set up for about a year. but you use that card in your business. So you've spent some money on that card. This is how easy the card stacking process is. We would go back to the same bank, apply for the same product. Many banks allow you to apply for the exact same product. If you can't apply for the exact same product because the bank doesn't allow it, then you apply for a similar one from the same bank. Then if they only approve us, let's say for 10,000 or 15,000, because the client already has a $20,000 card, right? The one they had set up for about a year, but they now approve us for a new $10,000 card. Now you might think, well, the $10,000 card is not enough to move the whole balance from the 20,000 over. And that's fine. That's not how card stacking works. What we do is once we have that $10,000 approval, we merge the two accounts together. So the old $20,000 account that the 0% is expiring on, and the new $10,000 account that has a 0% on it, we merge it together. Now you have one $30,000 account. That $30,000 account has 0% over the entire account, and we merge the new card into the older card so that we could retain the seasoning. We could retain the longevity or how long that account has been open. That way we're not closing brand new or closing old accounts and hurting your seasoning. And so once you've done that, now you're back to having one card from that institution. Many of the institutions allow you to have 2, 3, or 4, but that way you can keep consolidating them, have higher limits, and get access to more and more 0%. There's no other way of converting an existing credit card to a 0% card without doing this merge process. So guys, let me know if that made sense to you. Come to the questions area, to the comments area, and let me know if that made sense. So these are all 0% cards. And for anybody that's questioning it, yeah, it's real. You can just go and Google 0% business credit cards, and you can see that they all the major banks have this. And in fact, lots of small banks that you've never even heard of, like Elan and other things, Evergreen and other things. There's a variety of banks that have it and that have these 0% cards. And even if you're only in a geographical footprint that allows it, that like for example, Chase lends in all 50 states, but there's some banks that only allow in certain footprints, and people don't know that they could get a 0% card from that bank, for example. So Maddox is asking, is there a charge with you on every transaction you're connected to? No, you're like when you go to Walmart with your credit card, they're not charging you. You just spend with the credit card. So now this type of credit card, a credit card in general is unsecured. Unsecured means it's not secured, which means it's safe. It's safe funding. They're not securing it off of the home or off of a work vehicle, for example. And so if the worst were to happen and you're unable to make the payments, because it's unsecured, it means they're not going to take any of your assets. Let's say that you purchased real estate or you purchased company vehicles. If you don't make the payments, which God forbid, I'm not saying that would ever happen. Hopefully that never happens for anybody. But we need to have the safest funding possible. We can't have something where they take your company vehicles or they take your cash flowing assets because you're unable to make the payment. So now it's really important to understand that business credit cards do not report to your personal credit. So a business credit card we can actually use without it pulling your credit score down. And I'm going to get more into what those ratios are, why your credit score would be pulled down when you're using a personal credit card. It's paramount that we use business credit cards because a true business credit card does not report to our personal credit. That gives us a true separation. Now, although no tax returns are required, this is it's a stated income program. So we have to be honest with the bank. We have to tell them what your actual income is, but we're not having to cough up all kinds of documents.
Hey, so Ari, just real quick, that's good because in real estate, like we all show like we didn't make any money because we have depreciation and we have all these kind of write-offs to offset our gains. There's a few other questions coming in there. A lot of them have to do with qualifications. I know I've got some questions on like timing too, after the first year, amounts, like all that. Should we wait on qualifications?
Yeah, we could wait a little bit on that. I mean, I got the questions pulled up. Some of them will make sense to answer as we move along. Cool. But then we got to have Q&A at the end, and we'll definitely get to everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
I love answering these questions. So now the cash equivalent means what happens if we get you $100,000 of credit cards and you're trying to spend that at a vendor that does not accept credit cards? Well, we're going to show you how you can use payment services to use a credit card and still purchase at the 0% rate, because we don't want to do a cash advance. And then you can pay any vendor that you want to. All right, guys, so we're going to get into the actual meat and bones of what your personal credit needs to look like in order to qualify for this. And although you have to have good personal credit, understand that these cards are going to report to the EIN number or the tax ID number of your business. They are not going to report to your personal credit report. So these types of cards do not require any collateral or assets. That word unsecured. It means it's not secured off anything. But it's important to understand all these different ratios. For example, like your amount of debt at 30%. If you have a credit card and a personal credit card, and if you start running that credit card above 30%, so just to break it down in numbers, if you have a $10,000 card, if you put more than $3,000 on a $10,000 card, you're over 30% of the credit limit to the balance on that card. So whenever you go over that 30% ratio, your personal scores start coming down. Now, if we want to do this card stacking process and get you a lot of business credit, we have to keep your personal scores high. So it's really important that you are not maxing out your personal credit cards. And there's even things that you can do in terms of merging cards on your personal credit report. Like if you have multiple cards from the same bank, if you bank with Chase, for example, they might offer you multiple cards. Well, you can call Chase and merge them all together into one card. That way you have a higher limit and you merge it into the card that was open the longest. So you retain the account with the longest seasoning. These are all very important things to do, because otherwise, if your ratios are tweaked in the wrong way, you're going to get declined across the board and wonder, well, how are these people getting 30,000, 50,000, 150,000 on one card? Well, it's because their credit report's been in a good standing, and it's been in that standing for a long time. On the credit report, if they look in the little, there's little fields that actually show them the past history of the amount of debt that you had, or your payments, or the length of credit history. All of these things, it's recorded, and it's going to either help you or it's going to hurt you. So what we do is we help you fix those types of things before ever taking you to the bank. We want to address any of those concerns, because we don't want to take you to the bank with like walking uphill with a broken leg. We need to fix that first, because if we apply at the bank and you have negatives, or you have problems on your credit report, we're basically telling the banks that you have those problems. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that those kind of issues are fixed first prior to doing the applications, because they're going to keep that on file anywhere from 6 to 8 months to a year. So it's important that any of those ratios or negatives are cleaned up ahead of time prior to applications. So now these 10 things, you might want to take a picture or a screenshot of this. These 10 items are very important. We already went over your average credit age. You want to keep the credit of the existing accounts. You don't want to close old accounts, because then you're going to lose your seasoning. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone on the call probably knows what an inquiry is. An inquiry is when a bank or a place that extends credit, like a mortgage company, looks at your credit. Any company that can actually extend credit to you will cause a hard inquiry. Now, when Fund&Grow, when we look at your credit, we can pull your credit as a soft inquiry, meaning that it will not leave a ding on your credit report. But hard inquiries are important to make sure that you don't have too many. Everyone knows you go to an auto dealer and apply for a credit card, or apply for an auto loan, and they run you through like 10 different places. And then you have all those hard inquiries, just as an example. So, and there is ways that you can get some credit inquiries deleted, but you can't get all credit inquiries deleted, especially if it turned into an account. Because if you delete an inquiry, or if you dispute an inquiry that converted into an account, they'll close the account. They'll say, oh, if this inquiry was wrong, then the account must have been wrong too. So you don't want to have too many recently opened accounts. That's really important because then it looks like you're shopping around too much. So that's why we want to do these in strategic batches. If you just apply and then wait a few weeks or a few days and apply for another card and then wait a little bit and apply for another card, you're kind of stumbling along. We apply for all 5 cards in one round of funding in the exact same moment. Using our proprietary software, it shoots out the applications, and we're able to apply for the client very rapidly, where one bank isn't seeing what all the other banks are seeing in terms of which credit report is being pulled. So it's really important that you don't have credit cards or any type of accounts that have balances that are not being paid down or that are just totally maxed out. That's really, really important because they're going to start dropping your credit limit once you start making payments. If you have a personal credit card and you keep a high balance on it for a long period of time, and then you make a payment on it, they're liable to cut your credit limits. So that's why it's important that you utilize business credit cards. You don't max out your personal credit cards for long periods of time. It's okay to use it and pay it off, but you don't want to max it out for long periods of time. You want to be using business credit cards. And the more that you use the business credit cards, the more that they will give you access to more credit. So the limits in comparison to credit being used. Do you see this? If you're not using the credit, they're not going to give you more credit. You have to actually be using the credit. So this is really important because we'll do a batch for a client and get 100,000 on their first batch. And then on the second batch, they might only get 50,000 because they didn't utilize the credit cards the right way the first time, meaning they didn't actually use the cards. So we help clients to show them what type of utilization needs to happen. Of course, you're not going to spend on things that you're not using, but maybe in that case, we would just wait to do the next round until the clients actually need it. Like we can put our program on pause where it doesn't cost anything. And then that way the client can actually use the cards first, then come back for the rounds, for another round of funding. So of course, obviously your payment history, very important. Derogatories on your credit report are going to really kill you. So you don't want to have any derogatories. If you do have derogatories, there's a referral we can give you to get those types of items deleted. But Fund&Grow is not a credit repair company. We're not doing any type of credit repair. We're taking people with good credit and helping them have exemplary credit, helping them have great credit based off of changing little ratios, helping merge accounts together, and a variety of other things. So now existing lender relationships means we're going to be applying for you. Like if you already have a personal Chase card, we're going to take you for a business Chase card because you already have an existing relationship. Even as little as 2 years ago, existing relationships did not mean as much as it does today. So what is considered good credit with Fund&Grow? I'd say anything above a 680 is considered to be good credit for Fund&Grow. So the cards I use, Sherry's saying the cards I use, I pay off each month, so I don't pay the interest. Is that an appropriate strategy for this? And the answer is yes. The fact that you're paying them off each month, it shows them that you can use them and you can pay them off. And you're not using, if they were to ask why you're doing that, it's because you don't want to pay interest, but you are showing utilization. That's important. I've heard
Ari, having been in this game for 20 plus years, do you have if for some people whose credit's under 680, their personal credit, they want to get going with this, do you have a credit repair company that you recommend that you've just seen works really good over the years?
Yes. So Fund&Grow has a sister company called Kadem Credit Help, and I'll go ahead and send out the link to that company.
We actually did it. We did a call.
We have an affiliate link with them as well. We can share for everybody.
Oh, perfect. You know what? Then delete that and boom, deleted. All right. Put the affiliate link in there for
I'll drop it in there.
Perfect.
That's
Thank
cool.
you.
And I just wanted to validate too that, I mean, industry leaders, right? And you guys have come together, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's super important that we work with a credit repair company that actually gets the items deleted so that we can move them forward on funding. And when you pay us for funding, that's what you expect you're going to get. You don't want to hear a song and a dance about credit repair. But the long and short is people that have bad credit, they didn't create that overnight. It took them a while to create it, but yet they want it fixed overnight. Sometimes it takes a bit of time, but once it's fixed, then you can get access to a lot of funding. So let's go over an actual credit report. I'm going to show you guys the top of of this credit report. So what I did is I took a screenshot of the top of a client's credit report to point out a few things that you would never be able to know if you didn't have access to a bank level credit report. A bank level credit report is a lot different than a consumer credit report. Like if you go to Credit Karma or something, that's going to give you a lot of different information than what you're going to get on a bank level credit report. And I'm going to show you one of those. Actually, I'm going to show you two of those specific things. So let's start here with this account where we can see the date open. Let me put an arrow to it. So on this OCWEN account, under the date opened, it's saying that it was opened in November of 2007. But yet, if you look over here to what's called the month reviewed column, which is a whole nother column that you as a consumer would not be able to see on your consumer credit report, they have a 25 in there. This 25 indicates that this account has been open for 25 months. This month reviewed field is the field that the banks use to determine your seasoning. Now you might ask, why do they have this date open field? That should be the date they use to determine my seasoning. If the account was open in November of 2007, then why don't they just calculate my seasoning based off that? And the truth is, we don't know why. We don't know why they don't. All we can tell you is they have a completely separate field, and they will many times manipulate what's in this field because you as a consumer are unable to see what is on your credit report. So if you can't even see what's on your credit report, then they can manipulate this field here, and they can put it wherever they want. Like, for example, this one is saying that it was 25 months, yet this account was opened in 2007. Clearly, it should be showing over 99 months of review. But they mess with this field on purpose. Why do they do that? We can't exactly tell you why, but we can tell you that it will bring your scores down. So if someone were to be really on top of their credit, and they go onto their consumer credit report to verify what I'm talking about, they're not going to even see this month reviewed field because it only shows up on a bank level credit report. The only thing they're going to see is the date open field. And so from their perspective, they're going to say, look, it looks like it's reporting correctly. But for some reason, I have code 30. Do you guys see this code 30 down here? I have it highlighted. I put this red arrow to it. Code 30 says, time since most recent account opening is too short. This code is coming up because it's saying that the accounts that are open have been opened for a short period of time. But is that true, guys? We can see that this client is being screwed on their months reviewed. So what we do is we show clients how to get this updated, how to update the months reviewed field so that this is reporting a 99. We want it to be reporting the correct number in here. 99 is the highest, by the way, guys. So if it's a 99, then it means it's a fully seasoned account. And this account should be showing 99 months of review based on it being opened in 2007. Does this make sense, guys? Dr. Sherry's saying that's messed up. And it totally is. It totally is. And you would never even be able to tell this if you didn't have access to a bank level credit report. So now let's look at one other thing. So this other code, proportion of balance to credit limit, is too high on bank revolving or other revolving accounts. So a revolving account is like a credit card. A credit card is different than an installment loan or a mortgage or an auto loan because an auto loan and a mortgage, for example, they're not revolving. You can't use it and then pay it off and then use it again and pay it off. But a revolving account, you can. And so that's what they're talking about here. They're talking about this American Express card. So on this American Express card, what I want to show you is that under the limit field, they have a 0. So I know I got a lot of red on here, guys, but are you seeing this arrow that I'm pointing towards the 0? So in here, it says open. Now, all of the different credit card companies have their own version of a credit card that does not report a limit. In this right here, they should be reporting the limit. Just like this mortgage up here is reporting the limit of $290,000. Under here, they're reporting it as a 0. It can't be a 0 because it's open and it's in good standing and they have an $1,100 balance. You see, they have an $1,100 balance on a card with 0. That's impossible. So what we can see is that card is called an open card. So American Express calls theirs the open card. Chase calls theirs the no limit card. Bank of America calls theirs the fair and flexible card. All the different banks have a version of a credit card where they do not report the limit to the credit bureau. Why do they do that? Well, what do you think happens on this card where they're showing an $1,100 balance on a zero limit? Look, guys, this code comes up. Proportion of balance, the $1,100, to the limit, zero. Does it make sense? It's as if this card is $1,200 over limit. All we had to do on this one, guys, is call American Express and update this and say, hey, we don't want an open card. We want you to impose a credit limit. Impose a limit. They already have a limit. So they look in your account and they see what the limit is that they've given you inside your account. And then they report it. So that way, if this is a $20,000 card, they report a $20,000 limit. That way, a $1,200 balance on a $20,000 card is well under its 30% ratio. Does this make sense, guys? I don't want to. No, this is not a charge card. A charge card you have to pay off every month. This is a revolving card. You see it says revolving down here. That's different. And no, this is something that we would show you guys how to do. This is something that would never, ever, ever hurt you in the future because you're going to know about it. You're going to know how to fix it. You're going to know what to do about it if you're ever affected by one of these types of situations. So that's two different things that are, that I pulled off this credit report. But suffice it to say, there's a whole plethora of things that our credit analysts will go over and make sure are in an ideal situation so that we can get you the maximum amount of funding possible. The credit report is a big part of that. But remember, none of this funding reports to the credit report. The personal credit is only about giving you access, getting it approved. Once it's approved, it reports to the EIN number or the tax ID number, whatever, that's the same thing, of your business. So business credit cards do not report on your personal. Now, if you use a credit card that is not a true business credit card, for example, Discover. Discover's business credit card reports right on your personal credit report. Capital One's business credit report, their business credit card reports on your personal credit report. So are those truly business credit cards if they report on my personal credit report? The answer is no, because then you're subjected to the 30% ratio. Now, if I'm using a business credit card, then I have more leeway. I only need to pay down my card to 50 to 60% in between rounds. So if I have of all these business credit cards, I can leave maxed out more than 50, 60% and still continue the card stacking process. If it's a personal card, it has to be paid down to 30%. So personal credit cards have to be paid down more. So that's why it's really important that you're using business credit cards so that you can get the maximum amount of credit. So of course, if you have any existing credit cards, it's really easy to call your credit card banks that you already have and just ask them for higher limits. Just ask them, hey, can you give me a higher limit? And you'd be surprised how they will pop up your limit, and that will make it easier when you go and apply for business credit cards from that same place if you already have higher personal credit card limits. So then, of course, planning for the inquiries, you're going to have inquiries from applying for 0% cards. And that's okay, because whenever you apply for a mortgage or for an auto loan, we know that we're going to get inquiries because we're using the asset of our credit. But then our scores will go back up to where they were once the account seasons for a month or two. And of course, if anybody needs to remove negative items, just go ahead and use the referral that Tracy sent through. Does asking cause an inquiry for a higher limit? So Robert asks a very good question. Sometimes it will, Robert, and sometimes it won't. Do any of you guys have the credit monitoring inside your portal, like when you log in to your bank where they show you your credit score? A lot of times the bank already knows what your credit score is without doing a full credit pull. But sometimes the bank will do a full credit pull, and you can ask them that. When you're on the phone with the underwriter, and we'll explain how that works, you can ask them if they're going to be doing a credit pull, or if they can do it based off of your good payment history. I would like a credit limit increase based off my good payment history. Can you please let me know if you plan on pulling the credit report? That way, and if you have to, then do it. But many times they'll do it and just base it off of the past payment history that you have with them. But sometimes they will require it. So,
Hey, Ari, Diane had a question about, do they look at net income or gross? And I'm just thinking about if they're connecting to our EIN, are they just looking at cash flow that's coming through there? If taxes aren't even related, tell me just a little bit about the money that they're looking at.
so this is stated income. And
Okay.
the furthest that clients have ever gone is sometimes to upload a bank statement to show deposits or to show cash flow. And they're going off of your gross, not off of your net. And it's total household income. So you can include everybody in the household. That's literally what they ask. What is your total household income? Was there any other questions there that I missed? I'm just scrolling up. All right, what about foreign nationals with the LLC EIN? So if you have your ITIN, then that can help if you're a foreign national. But if you have your social security number, if you have your visa and then you have a social security number, then that's going to guarantee you. But we have helped clients from Australia, from England, from Canada, and they would need to get an ITIN, an international tax ID number. So this is the life cycle of applying for cards, then doing the applications for you, doing the negotiations, and this is something that we show you guys exactly how it works. This is something that you have to do. We can't legally talk to the underwriter for you, but we show you exactly what to say, exactly how to do any of the things that we do. Most of the work for you. There's just a couple phone calls that we need you to make. Then you are able to use the cards however you want. Of course, you have to follow the payback. We're going to give you our recommendations on how to take care of the cards the best, so as to make it so that in the next round, we get you a lot of funding. The third party processors, this is something that I'm about to go over. I'm going to show you guys how to spend even if the business that you're trying to purchase from does not accept credit card. How can you use the credit card to pay by check or pay by wire or pay by ACH? You can do it right off a credit card. You just swipe it, they send an ACH, a wire, or a check. And then, of course, the merging of similar accounts, and then doing the whole process over again. So our goal is to get you the maximum amount of funding possible. All right, so.
And then Ari, just real quick, if I could. So when you talk about the max amount of funding possible, one of the things that I've seen just starting to look into this industry, and there's so many different companies out there that you've never heard of that just pop up, right? Like I'll get text messages that say, you're pre-approved for $100,000. And it's like, I have no idea what this company is. 0% at the end of that 1 year, you talked about 12-month cards. There's also 24-month cards. And then there's ways to merge cards. So this isn't just a 1 year game, but the strategy that you're helping us build is where we can roll. Is it possible to go from year to year to year at 0%? And then what are the fundamentals of that? Does my usage have to come all the way down under 15%? Or what are some of those requirements to keep my 0% going year after year?
So absolutely, you can continue the card stacking process year after year after year. Whether the card is a 0% card for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 24 months, what we do is the same thing in my initial example in the beginning of this call when we talked about the $20,000 Chase card merging with a $10,000 card. The only difference is we're doing that on the business side. So instead of merging personal cards together, we're merging business cards together. So if you have the maximum amount of cards that one business lender gives you, once you've merged them together, now you've opened up new slots to be able to apply for those cards again. And then you can merge them again. That's the only way that we get $75,000 cards, 80,000, 100,000, 150,000 on one card, is because we are merging them together. So that's how you take an old card that has an interest rate, and then you merge the new card. Let's say the old card with an interest rate is 60,000 and they give the new ones 5,000.
Yeah.
You merge the 5,000 that has 0% into the $60,000 card, and now you have a $65,000 card at 0%.
That's incredible. So I could have $100,000 balance that I'm about to be paying interest on from a couple of cards, and I can merge them into another card that really only has a limit of 10 grand and
That's
roll
right.
0% again.
Exactly. That's the only way to reincept 0% on an existing card, whether it has a balance or not, is to take a brand new card that has 0% and to merge it into the old card. We don't want to lose the old card because the old card has the seasoning.
Yep.
The new card doesn't matter. We can get rid of the seasoning on that. All we want is the 0%. So if we are spending at a place that doesn't accept credit card, you can use Melio Payments. Write that down, guys. Bill.com. I'm sure everybody's heard of that. Or Plastic. Plastic, this one here specifically allows you to fund an escrow account directly. Now, obviously, sometimes there's seasoning requirements and so on, but either way, you can spend directly with any vendor, regardless of whether or not they accept credit card. You can do a wire transfer, you can do an ACH, you can do a check payment. What you do is you set up an account with one of these places, then you log into the account, then you add your credit cards into the account, then you take the invoice from whatever company you're trying to purchase from, you upload the invoice, then the company approves it, whether it's Plastic, Bill.com, or Melio. Then they ask you, how do you want to make the payment? Do you want to do it in wire? Do you want to do it on ACH? Or do you want to do it on check? And then when they charge your card, they're charging it at the 0% purchase rate. That way we can avoid cash advances. A cash advance is not ever going to be at 0%, ever, ever. Even if it's a 0% card, the cash advance part of it won't be. So we have to do purchases off of those cards, and the only way to do it is to use one of these third-party payment services. So I'm just curious if anyone has any questions about that. All right. So now when you are using a credit card, you also get this thing called chargeback. I'm sure some people know what that is. Other people are deathly scared of it. And everyone who runs a business that accepts credit cards knows they don't want chargebacks. And for those that are scared of chargeback, it's because their service sucks. And so they are unable, they get too many chargebacks, so they don't charge, so they won't even allow their clients to pay for them with a credit card. But let me explain in more detail. Let's say that you're working on a rehab and you are putting on a new roof. Maybe it costs 15, 20 grand. You're in a different state that you don't usually work in. So you're dealing with contractors that you're not familiar with. And so you decide to put that $20,000 charge on a credit card. Well, let's say that company doesn't get the roof to pass inspection. It's red tagged. They don't care about your timetable. You've been calling the roofing company to try to get them to come out and finish it, but they're not. What you do is you turn over your credit card, you look at the number on the back, you call the number on the back, and you tell them, hey, this company is not living up to their word. So then the credit card bank is going to call that company and try to get through to them, try to get them to follow their word. And if you're not lying, and if they're truly not following their word, then the credit card bank is going to take that $20,000 off the credit card, out of their bank account and put it back onto your credit card temporarily. It'll temporarily be there until the roofing company either finishes the roof and they pass and it passes inspection, or if they don't respond, then you get to keep the money. Now, obviously, the company's probably going to call you right away and come and finish that job. I've personally had to use chargebacks multiple times with large jobs. One of them was $35,000. And there was no other way. If I had not paid for that on a credit card, I would not have got my money back, period. So G is saying there are about 2.9% fees per transaction. And that is exactly right. So if you, going back one slide, if you are paying by check, I think it could be like 1% or 2%. If you pay by ACH, I believe it's 2%. And then if you pay by wire transfer, it's 2.9%. Gee, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something that's right around there. You're going to pay a small percentage to pull that off, but that's simply part of the cost of using a business credit card. It's the card itself is at 0%, so it's really low. And let's remember, guys, the majority of this, you're not going to need to use the payment services. You're going to just go to Home Depot and you're going to spend the money on rehab materials, or you're going to spend it with your contractor, your electrical contractor, your plumbing contractor. You're going to spend it for marketing or a variety of other things. And through all of that, you're going to get lots and lots of cash back. Most of these cards give you 1 to 2 to even some are higher than that. Imagine getting 2% cash back. Fund and Grow could easily spend 50, 100,000 in 1 month. $100,000, 2% cash back means that I'm cutting my purchasing power of my dollar has gone up by 2%. Think about that. So if I'm spending $100,000, I get $2,000 back. Now, what loans do you guys have that ever give you anything except for grief? Every other loan that you have, all you could do is you can make payments on it. They're not paying you. An auto loan, you got to pay the payments on it. They're not giving you anything. Mortgage, you got to pay the payments on it. They're not giving you anything. But a credit card, for some reason, when you use the loan, they pay you. And this is really important because if you're spending a lot of money every month, then you're going to be able to get a lot of cash back. You're going to be able to go on expensive trips for free. And you guys weren't even thinking about the points. These points here will easily pay for that 2.9% fee, for that 2% fee. This right here will totally cancel out any of these types of payment fees. Does that make sense, guys? Because you're going to be getting cash back on these. And so whether or not you even use those payment services, you're definitely getting your cash back. So if you have to use a payment service, then it could offset that. So we definitely have clients that are making more money through the cash back than it costs them through using the payment services. And a few years ago, I flew to Barcelona, Spain with business class. It's just amazing you basically get to lay down in a bed and, just served. And I didn't pay anything for it. It would have been a $45,000 trip, nonstop, Tampa, Barcelona, and back for me and my family. And instead, a $45,000 trip cost me $0 because I bought it using my points. And if I was smarter, I would have been able to get them to stretch even further. And let me explain that. So if you have an American Airlines credit card, and you're spending on that American Airlines credit card, you're going to get American Airlines points. Now, if you log into your credit card bank that is affiliated with American Airlines, and you spend the points out of your login, your credit card login, you're going to only get a certain amount of benefit. But if I go over to American Airlines website, not the bank that's affiliated with American Airlines, like the co-branded thing, but the actual American Airlines website, and I create a login there, then I transfer my points from the credit card bank to American Airlines. These points are transferable. When I've transferred those points directly to American Airlines and spend directly off of American Airlines website, they want to incentivize you to do this. And so what happens is you end up getting 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the amount of points simply by transferring the points from the credit card bank over to the airlines. And this is true with a variety of different points programs from these different credit cards. So that's all really, really important because when you're a business owner, you could be doing a lot of traveling. You're going to be doing a lot of spending on your marketing. And to get cash back on all these things is just super important. And no, I'm not talking Dave Ramsey where he's like, why would I spend $100,000 to make $2,000? That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about the spending that you in your business would be doing anyway. How much spending do you do every month? How much, what about for your facility or for your electric bills or for your phone bills or for all of these different things? Instead of spending it out of your business bank account, put it on a credit card, get your cash back. This is what lots and lots of people are doing. So Fund and Grow can help people that have good credit get you access to huge amounts of credit. And we're talking about more than 250,000. We advertise up to 250,000. If I were to take you into our database and sort it, you would see 700,000, 600,000, 500. You would see countless clients that have received more than double what we promise because we're simply able to get a lot of credit. But for today's call, I'm only going to be talking about going up to 250,000 because that's average. That's average. And so that's what we're talking about. And you can use that to pay off other credit lines. You can use it to invest in whatever aspect of your business you want. Yeah, Dave Ramsey doesn't live in reality. That's right. Exactly. And you can do all that without going to these questionable money sources. And so here we have two clients that have gone through two batches. So the one that I showed you in the beginning was a client that went through the entire program. These clients have only gone through two batches so far. So they both have one more batch to go. So I'm circling the batches. So far, this client here has received 190,000. And again, look how it came in declined with this bank and then up to 30 grand through our negotiations. Again, declined, then 131,000. Then declined 13,000. So this right here is what the expertise of Fund and Grow does. We show you how to get 70% higher limits. This is a very real thing we can show you. I'm probably actually, if I have time, I'll bring up our CRM and show you live how much funding we got today, yesterday, this month. And you're going to see this exact same trend. 1/3 of the funding comes in from the applications. You see this? The applications. And 2/3 come in through the negotiations. So when I say 1/3 comes in through the applications, imagine how much work we've done. Remember, we just went over the credit report, all these different statistics, all these different things that we're doing on the credit report. And then we only got 9 grand for this client. Do you think this client would have even got that 9 grand if we hadn't done all that positioning for them? Heck no. That's why we do all that positioning so that we can get them these higher amounts. That's why this approved column shows so much funding is because of that positioning. So even if the positioning isn't bringing in the credit right in the initial amount, that's because this is what most people are used to experiencing. They're used to experiencing getting these denials. How many times, guys, have you applied for something? Let's say that you were at a line in some department store and they're like, oh, you'll get 20% off if you apply for this card. So you said whatever, and you applied for the card. And then whether you got approved or whether you got declined, you just took whatever they said and left. That was that. And you never called. You never found out why you only got approved for that amount. Is that most people's story? How many people call the bank to negotiate? Most people don't. And that's why they're missing out on this. This client would not have got 145,000. They would have gotten 9,000. And again, that's after we did all of our positioning. So here's a client that's gone.
Real quick, Ari, if you could just kind of break down timing. So we're looking at some dates in there. Sometimes there's a 6-month kind of gap. Another time it's maybe only 3 months and we're going through again. If I'm, if I haven't done any of this and I'm coming to Fund and Grow saying, okay, hook me up, how long is this process going to take and why the difference between sometimes 3-month gap and 6-month gap?
So it depends on the client. If they want us to move forward right away, then we'll move forward. Some clients will opt to put their file on hold so that they don't lose any money. They don't lose any membership. They just put it on hold. And then we can move forward, like six months later when they're actually ready to move forward. So in this instance, this client here did 3 batches.
Is that also part of that strategy where you were saying you've got to spend some of this, in here? So are we also looking at where we're putting money and timing for? So it's all.
If they hadn't spent it properly, then we would actually recommend, hey, you need to utilize these cards. We're not telling you that to make your membership expire or run out. In fact, you can put it on hold, but you need to go use the cards properly so that we can give you a really good next batch. Like for example,
Got
look
it.
at this.
Got it.
Look at this. So this client on these accounts got 12,000, 1,100, 63,000, and 7,000, and that was in 2004 November. Then on their next round of funding, that they got a 6,000, a 26,000, and a declination. This might have been from spending, from not spending properly. And then on the next round, suddenly they get a $105,000 card. So a lot of times that's from spending properly and utilizing the cards, and then that allows us to go after those higher limits. Now, every situation is slightly different because we can also migrate over. So here's a client that got 223,000. We can also migrate over some of the personal limits that you had. For example, on this one, you see here where it says pre-existing? Some of these accounts were personal cards that we moved over to the business side. So when you have a approved limit from a bank, let's say that you're talking about Chase Bank, for example, they look at their total amount of funding that they've extended to you. They don't care whether it's personal, whether it's business. They see the total amount extended. So if you have a huge amount on the personal side that you're not going to even use because it's not at 0%, we can migrate those over into your new business accounts and have higher limits on the business side. And it's not just us. You can do this too. In fact, we explain to you guys exactly how to do this so that you can speak to the underwriter and you can get these types of outcomes. It's not that difficult. You just have to know who to talk to at the bank, which is called an underwriter. Sometimes it's hard to find the right number, but there's a variety of different like call centers. Like Chase has a bunch of different call centers. We know if we call center A, it's likely we'll get this outcome. And if this client is having a problem, don't call them, call this other, call Chase's call center in the Midwest. So it all depends on the client situation, depending on how we're going to tackle that specific, their applications. But we're going to look and find the ones that are most likely to approve you, the ones that are most likely where we can merge together, and then we're going to get you as much funding as we can. So let's see, Josh is saying, I started using a Miles guy. He gave me a script.
Yeah, and Ari, real quick too. So I hope if it's okay, if you could stay a little bit longer for some of these questions, that'd be great. I also want to get in here. People want to know, what does it cost to work with Fund and Grow?
Yes,
it sounded like the membership was a year.
We're literally
like
one slide from there, so we're going to get to that.
Okay, all right, cool.
So, but Brandon said, "This is cool, guys. Called Amex last week for my 25K at 0% for 12 months after being declined. So in other words, he applied, he got declined. And then he gave them, all they needed was articles of organization, and then they approved him for 25K. That's a good example of a lot of the negotiations. So when calling in, it's as simple many times as giving them the articles of incorporation or whatever simple documents they're asking for. And by the way, guys, this is us in front of our building. This is me right here in the very center. So we are very excited to do this. We've generated over $2 billion for over 30,000 businesses, and we're super proud of that. So let's get into it, guys. So this is what we have. This is what we have for you guys today. Now, if you go to Fund and Grow's website, you're going to see that our service is sold for $4,000. So today, my arm was twisted. I had to give you guys a really good deal, so it's at $3,500. But you can't just sign up without qualifying. So I need you to take out your camera, point it at the at this QR code, click on the little thing, it'll pop up, go to that page, fill out your name and the information that's asking. It only asks for a couple fields. And this will immediately, within 2 to 3 seconds, give you a pre-qualification amount of a snapshot of exactly how much funding we can get for you in your first round of funding, as well as over the life of our entire membership. So Dr. Sherry's saying the cost is a no-brainer. And you're absolutely right. It is. This is why we've been doing this since 2006. And again, do you remember what happened in 2007? Well, for us, it started in 2007 because we were doing mortgage lending too. And then the great crash was in 2008. But this type of lending has just gotten more and more popular because think about it. If you were a bank, would you want to just give out $1 million loans on real estate that could just go belly up? Or would you prefer to do micro loans, 50,000, 40,000, 100,000, and mitigate the risk between different lenders? So it seems to be that how the banks like to get money out. But again, before you can sign up, we need you to pre-qualify. So if you scan this QR code and you qualify, immediately you're going to see the $34.97 buy link below the pre-qualification form. So once it shows you exactly how much funding you qualify for, below that, you'll see that you can buy at that price. And there is payment plans, by the way. So let's get to some of these questions. So what if you already signed up before with Fund&Grow? David, how much funding did you get the first time with Fund&Grow? And you're allowed to sign up again, David. I don't know if you had to pay $4,000 the first time. Now you'll get a better deal the second time. But yeah, most of our clients sign up year to year. So I already filled out and booked on the website before you offered the QR code. Ethan, you're on top of it. So Dr. Sherry says it's a no-brainer. Let's see. I could use some of these business credit funds to private money lend. Oh yeah, that is definitely a thing. We've had quite a few people. They ask, well, how do you do that? And the answer is you could do it just through simple note loans. So Maddox says you renew every year. We have some clients that do renew every year. So here we have a client that just went through their first round. And he's received 68,000. So and that's just on round one. That's a pretty average amount for round one. It could be anywhere from 50, 60, 70,000. Here we have a client that's on, I'm not sure exactly which round they are, but they've received 200,000 so far. Can you expand on the commercial credit listed as a bonus? That is a great question. So let's go back to that. So the corporate credit. So if you guys want to buy buildings like this, then you will want to use corporate credit. So this building is a $2 million building that I bought using corporate credit, not using credit cards. Now, of course, I have access to a lot of business credit cards, but once you get access to a lot of business credit, you can start building what's called corporate credit, which is credit through Dun & Bradstreet and through your Paydex score. You have to have revenues, of course. So you have to actually be earning money and you be able to prove it on your tax returns. But if you can, then you're going to be able to get access to a lot of funding. I own multiple office buildings that I've purchased, and you could buy, it doesn't have to be an office building or a commercial building. It could be residential too. But that was purchased using the corporate credit program. And the 100,000 is just a starting point. This is something that pretty much anybody can get access to when you're first getting started, even if you don't have much revenues. But then if you want to get a $2 million loan, then you're going to need to start having revenues and have a good Paydex score, which is your score with Dun & Bradstreet, which is the corporate credit bureau. So here we have another client. So at 351,000 in funding. I'm not sure if this is the same one from the very beginning of the call. This might be another one, but we can see that they did 3 different rounds of funding. And that culminated in them getting 351,000. They got 152,000 just on one credit card alone, on one Chase card. Chase is good for those high limits, but many of the banks give out, fairly decent limits you can build up to. Like even 36,000 is not a bad limit, especially if you're merging it, if you're using it in conjunction with other high limit cards, like another $24,000 card. So Dr. Sherry's asking, how does it work since my hubby and I both have our own credit scores? Oh, perfect. And we're both partners in the business. Can we use our individual credit to build? So now what you guys are getting with this program right here is you're actually allowed to put in your partner for free. Do you see this? This partner upgrade means that we are allowing you, I can't believe I didn't call this out, Dave. We're allowing you to use 2 different credit partners. So Dr. Sherry, you are credit partner number 1. You don't have to pay the $3,500 again for your husband. He gets to join the program for free because you're a member. So this is another thing. I guess it's not truly priceless. The price would be $4,000, but priceless looks better. But anyway, that's something that we like to offer because we see a business many times as being 2 partners. It could be a husband and a wife. It could just be 2 business partners. We've seen businesses that are, the business owners working with their adult children. So we've seen all different types of scenarios. And that's pretty common. Actually, both of my children work at Fund&Grow. My daughter's 22. She works at Fund&Grow, and my son is 20. And he's one of the application specialists. And so a lot of times people will work with their adult children. I don't use them for funding, but we have a lot of clients that do. And so I have, but I didn't use their funding. I did it to help them build their credit so that they'll have better credit. But I didn't need to use their funding. But you can if you have their permission and you're working together with them. So this client at $351,000. So Maddox is asking, how long does it take to find out what funding you'll get if you're on the ball with getting what you need from us and have great credit? Maddox, you're going to find that out instantaneously. Go to scan that QR code, fill out that form, and you're going to instantly see exactly how much funding we can get for you. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our CRM. Give me just 1 second, guys, because I didn't have this brought up. I have to log in real quick. So Dave, are you able to see this, the Fund&Grow?
Yeah. Your screen's up right now, and just Ari too, with that package that you've offered the 7FF group, that was kind of important for us to have all of that. Those calls, the strategy, all of those pieces, because just as a mastermind, we wanted everybody to be on the same page. So as we're going to have a lot of different members going through this, and there's just a power in being able to talk about, here's what I just did, here's what I just got, here's what's happening, and everybody being on the same page. So anyway, thank you to you for being flexible in putting all that together for us.
Absolutely. So what I've brought up here, it looks kind of boring, guys, but this is the login, the back end to our CRM. So this right here is what our employees log into. And by the way, you guys get a really cool login too. And I can show you guys what that login looks like in just a moment. But we make it really easy for you to fill out your documents. It's just 1-click sign. We make it as simple as possible. So now, guys, look at this right here. Let's look at this month down here. So unfortunately, I can't draw on this because this is live, but do you notice that it says 11 million in this column right here? So this month so far, the Fund&Grow team has generated 11 million in business credit cards. And out of that 11 million, 2.9 of it came from the auto approvals. It came when we applied for the client, we got 2.9 million in funding. But 8 million came, which is the 2/3 amount that I was talking about, the 70% more. 8 million came through this negotiation process. This is everything. So these folks that we applied for would have only gotten 2.9 million in funding. It seems like a lot, but there was a lot of clients that went through that. Add on top of that 8 million, now you're talking about 11 million in total funding. That is way worth it. So let's look at today. So today, when we applied, we got 74,700 in funding, which admittedly is a little bit low. But under negotiations, you see 887 for a total of 962,000 today. And so yesterday was a more typical day where we got 237 in auto approvals, then 357,000 in negotiations for a total of 595,000. So, and then if you look like the other day, we got $1 million in funding right here. And out of that was 602,000 in negotiations and 446 in auto approvals. So that's just a little background snapshot of what we're doing. But I'm gonna go ahead and log in to the client portal, but I just got to make sure that none of my. All right, guys. So this is what you'll see as soon as you log in.
Welcome to Fund&Grow.
I'm Ari. So once you're logged in, instead of seeing this welcome thing here, what you're going to see is the documents that we need you to sign to get started. Now, once you've gotten started and you have funding coming in, you're going to notice that over here on the info center, this is where your funding shows up. So this is a round of funding that the Fund and Grow team did for me a number of years ago, 40,000, 30,000, 25,000. Because I got to keep using it, even though I don't really need it for much. I got to keep using these cards. So, but this is what the inside of the account looks like for you guys. It's very easy to log in. It's very secure. We have two-factor authentication, and we make it super easy to be able to go through and sign all the documents and move forward and actually get funding. So let's go back to these questions. All right. So I use a Miles guy, and he has a schedule where we open up cards every 3 months that are mostly personal cards and occasionally business card. Will signing up with you be too much? Josh, I highly recommend that you stop doing that with personal cards. It's not an ideal way of going about getting, of doing this. I really recommend that you use business credit cards so that you can get access to funding easier. Like there's a lot of companies out there that get people personal cards because it's easier to get you personal cards, but it's better to use business cards because business cards do not require the same pay down. Do you guys remember the 35%? The 30% where if it's a personal credit card, in order to get ready for your next round of funding, you have to pay all your personal credit cards down to 30%. Do you guys remember when I went over the credit report? So personal cards are difficult because you have to pay them down to 30%. They're easier to get approved. So your Miles guy, he wants to do that because he gets paid when you get approved. But that's not as helpful for you as a business card would be. So a business card would allow you to use the full limit, and then you would only need to pay it down to 60% prior to going for your next batch. So let me know if that makes sense, Josh. So how long?
So since he doesn't really do much with business cards, I could still do the business cards with you.
That's right. But remember, they're going to interfere because if he's racking up all kinds of inquiries on your credit report from applying for personal cards, and let's say that you've used some of these personal cards and they are carrying a balance. Well, you're going to need to pay every single one of them down to 30%.
Okay. It's just 2 cards every 3 months is what he's doing.
Then that probably, once you get started with Fund and Grow, you would definitely want to coordinate his efforts to go along with when we're applying, so that when we do a batch, he could apply on the same day after we've applied for personal cards. But that way it's kind of like shooting off a gun when the train's going by.
Okay, thank you.
So how long before you can utilize it from the day we sign up? 1 week, 1 month? Okay, so that's a great question. So usually it is a 30 to 45 day process. So 30 to 45 days because of the following. If we're working on your credit and we're helping you raise your scores, it's going to take 30 days for that to report. Does it make sense, guys? It takes 30 days for something to update on your credit report, and we're not doing rapid rescores for everyone. That's for mortgages. So the 45 days now is so that we have 2 weeks to apply for you for the negotiations. So 30 to 45 days is an average time frame. Now, let's say that you're above average, and there's absolutely nothing we can do to raise your scores. In that case, you could have funding coming in within 15 days, just a week or two. Brandon, you are absolutely welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. So he's jumping off. So the 3,500 is a flat fee up to 250K. Are there additional fees? And no, the 3,500 is a flat fee. There is no additional fee from us. Now, if you don't have an entity set up, we will direct you to set up an entity, and each state charges to set up an entity. I'm not talking about like a fee to set up the entity. I'm talking about the actual filing fee from the government, from the state. So if you don't have an entity, there could potentially be a small fee for that. But that's not to us. That's for you to get your own entity set up. The other fees that could be involved are like when we talked about moving the credit off of the cards. Let's go back to that slide. So There could be fees with this, when you're pulling the money off the card. It could be up to 2.9%. However, this is usually offset by the client spending where they're getting cash back. So do you guys understand that I'm being very, 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 very upfront? Most of the other programs that do this would not even go into much detail. They're just like, nope, there's no fees, you're good to go. But we're trying to be as honest. We're not going to charge you any fees, Jason. But there could be other ancillary fees that are just part of doing business. So what do the payment plans look like? Let's go ahead and bring up one of the payment plans. So actually, I just realized I would have to go through the pre-qualification to do it. But so the payment plans are as follows. You can pay a full payment of $3,500, or you could pay 2 payments of around $1,800, or you could pay 3 payments of around $1,300, or you could pay 5 payments of around $800 and something. So once you get in there, if you pre-qualify and it takes you to the Purchase Now page, you'll be able to see exactly what those programs are. I mean, what the payment programs are. But really, we should have had that breaking down for you guys. Sorry. Next time we will. Okay, so 1 year renewal option each year. So how long is the coaching program? Thank you, Dave. So Adam says, I signed up for this about 20 days ago. Awesome. We look forward to serving you, Adam. So hypothetically, if I get 75K one round, how long before you can go for round 2? So that's a great question. We generally do around 3 rounds of funding in 1 year. So it would be a couple months before we go after the next round of funding. Is tonight the only time that we can sign up? Well, we certainly wouldn't be processing millions if that was the case. So no, that is not that. Tonight might be the only night you can sign up at $34.97. But in fact, that link is a negotiated discount for you guys that you guys will get from now on. So the 7-figure flipping empire has essentially negotiated that for you guys on a permanent basis. So you guys can sign up for the $34.97 at any point. So let's see. Robert says, can you find a way to buy manufactured homes before you put them on real property and then have obviously refi out of them? I'm a new manufactured home dealer and don't know where to start on financing. And the answer to that is yes. So can you to buy manufactured homes? So if you're buying a manufactured home directly from a company, then you can request an invoice from them, and you can upload that into your account in terms of the. Let's flip back to that, guys. To here, Melio, Bill.com, and Plastic. So these right here allow you to pay vendors that don't typically accept credit cards. So a manufactured home company will give you an invoice, you upload it, and then you choose which credit cards you would like to purchase out of. So, and Josh is echoing it. He's saying the factories I use don't care where the money comes from, and that he's personally been using hard money. So this is awesome. We got a little mini mastermind going on in here. So Robert says, I will be the company. I am a dealer now. Okay, so I can do that as a dealer, same thing. And absolutely. So, all right, did I miss any questions? So Scott asked, is this a lifetime membership? And no, this is not a lifetime membership. This is a membership that is for 1 year. And within that year, we're going to get you around 3 batches of funding, which is going to get you around $250,000. If you know that you have good credit, then you know you'll get more. If you know that you have bad credit, then you might have to do some work to be able to qualify. So how does this work for someone who's yet to set up? Naomi, what have you not set up? Are you talking about your entity? Because if you haven't set up your entity, that is something that we can help you with. inside the funding program, you'll see there's actually entity creation. We don't charge extra for this. This is free. So depending on where you are, you would go through this and get your entity set up. And so although it would be easier for us to apply for a personal credit card for you, we want to get you a business credit card. It's a business credit card. So it's really important that you have an entity. If you need any help getting the entity set up, then our team will help you with that. But that's paramount to us being able to actually get you business credit. Could signing now be necessary? I'm not sure. Would you be able to clarify exactly what you're asking? Okay, yes, no, yeah, you would sign up with our program now, and we will help you with the entity. Yes, absolutely. You can go ahead and get started. So how do you utilize the cards to make cash purchases with vendors or labor, or can you? Yeah, you can actually even pay payroll using those third-party payments. So, Dave? Oh, I thought so.
Yeah, no, I was just about to jump in there too and answer Maddox. Like 680 was the magic credit score, and you know, team, just feel free to message our info at sevenfigureflipping.com. Any other questions you guys have too? Ari, you've already stayed almost 30 minutes late. You were not kidding when you said you were just going to be totally transparent, bring it, spell out exactly how all of this works. You've been doing this for 20 plus years, obviously crushing it, opening up your CRM to show what you're funding people today is phenomenal. Thank you for the package you've put together for us and for all of our community. Man, yeah, guys, just sign up, do a strategy call, right? Sign up, see what you qualify for. If your credit score is under 680, you need to come up. Tracy dropped the KDM credit link in there. We can also send it to you from info@sevenfigureflipping.com. We're really good at private money. We're really good at hard money. This was a gap for us, Ari. Like we just didn't have a great partner for business credit. Now we do. We're so glad that we found you. Grateful for your team. You guys have just been super straightforward. Adam posted in there that he signed up with you guys about 2 months ago. His experience has been elite. It's been at the highest level, super happy with it, which is why we then wanted to share this with everybody else. So thank you. Thank you
He
so
signed
much.
up undercover and we didn't even know. We would have marked the file as VIP,
That's
but
it.
we didn't even
We got to
know.
know. It's for our people. We have to know. We have to know what we're recommending, and you guys
I
won.
respect that.
Yeah, flying colors. But no, thank you so much for jumping on today. You've given our group a wealth of information.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I hope you got a ton out of that conversation with Dave, Tracy, and Ari from Fund&Grow. If you're serious about building a real estate business that's stable, scalable, and protected from cash crunches, this is the kind of strategy that separates hobby investors from real business owners. If you want to check out the link to Fund&Grow that was mentioned in this episode, just click the link in the show notes. And while you're there, check out our previous episodes of our funding series. Thanks for listening, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.